So it's definitely time for another update. It's been almost 6 months since my last YouTube video, probably over 6 months by the time this comes out, and a lot has happened. So after the last video, I had done Boise 70.3, and then I was kind of injured, so I wasn't sure what was going on. I ended up needing to take 3 weeks off running and then getting back into the training, building up what was a pretty long block of healthy training. I tried to do 70.3 Augusta, but got a flat, which was maybe a good thing because I was jamming in a lot of races. And then I went over to Spain to do a training camp before 70.3 Worlds in Marbella, Spain. So I trained up at altitude for 3 weeks with the Norwegians, actually. So that was an awesome highlight. Those guys are great. It was Kristian, Casper, and Gustav. They welcomed me into their training environment. I joined them for plenty of workouts. Honestly, ditched a fair bit of my own workouts to do theirs and learn from them. And I did learn a lot. It was an awesome experience. Didn't have a great race at Worlds. I did have a solid bike ride, but I had a really bad swim. I just didn't really follow my swim plan probably closely enough at altitude, and came out a little flat for Worlds for the swim. Came out on my own, like way behind the main packs. Had a good bike, but still lost a ton of time, and then ran like not very well. So not a great day for me. I was like 40 something place at Worlds, which is actually my lowest ever finish at Worlds. But I did have good fitness. I think another thing was that I didn't come down from altitude at the right time. I probably was a little bit too close to the race. I should have maybe came down a little bit sooner. But the good news about that was I did have good fitness, and I carried that into my last training block, which was before Ironman 70.3 La Quinta, which was my last race of the year, and it went really well. I had a solid swim. I was in like the main pack. There was one guy off the front, and then there was a main pack that I was in. I think I was 10th out of the water, so probably my best swim of the year, which was a great sign. Rode well, ended up in a group with Trevor, Lionel, and South American guy, Scarabino, was with us by the end of the ride, with a pretty big lead on the rest of the field, and had a solid run. Not an amazing run, but my best run of the year, which was good enough for third place. I did come close to beating Lionel after he rolled his ankle. I kind of almost caught him, and then he ended up putting a little bit more time into me and beat me by like 25-ish seconds. So I was happy with third place. Sam Long won. It was a good note to end the season on. After what was a pretty tough year, pretty bad year. My worst year in terms of results, like number of podiums. I didn't get a win. I only had 2 podiums. I should say my worst year since about 2017, which was my rookie 70.3 pro year. So learned a lot, got injured a couple times. That is not going to happen again this year. So did the race, and then moved from Guelph to Kitchener. I got a new place here. You can hear it's obviously pretty empty in here still. New place here. Kitchener is my girlfriend. It's an awesome spot. I'm just loving having the new house and being in the new training environment, new training buddies. It's been great. That being said, did the move over a few days, and then we went on vacation to Mexico, which was awesome. I did get sick like 3 times in December to early January. I was feeling pretty good. Got back into a good training rhythm. Then went to RTS camp in January. That was a good time. Had a good week. And then I started feeling pretty bad a few weeks ago, and ended up picking up a parasite one of the times I went to Mexico, most likely. So actually had some pretty bad symptoms from that. Wasn't really able to like absorb nearly enough nutrients to sustain training. So for a week I kind of like managed it, and then I just needed to treat it with anti-parasitic, kind of like antibiotics. And those probably made me feel pretty bad as well, along with just the parasites still messing me up. So I had one really bad week of training, which was last week now, so like first week of February. But now finally I'm feeling quite a bit better. I'm able to, eat pretty normally, train normally. I've had a few good workouts this week, and already, almost at like 2/3 of my mileage from last week just in the first 3 days of this week. So body is sustaining training pretty well. Now, that's a pretty good summary of the last 6 months. And next, I'll just quickly go over what are my plans for 2026. So right now we're kind of mid-February. I am starting my season off in Oceanside. If you haven't checked it out, I'm part of the Triathlon Hour podcast Road to Oceanside series. So that goes in through more details about my training. If you want to check that podcast out on Spotify, go ahead and do that. I'm also still on, of course, the Real Triathlon podcast, which we talk about a whole variety of different triathlon topics every week. So Oceanside's the first race, and then I'm going to be lining up at Ironman Texas 3 weeks later. Now that's a pretty aggressive start to the year. I do want to really get into the full distance this year and sort of see what I can accomplish at that distance, see where am I starting at with Texas, can I perform better than any of the fulls I've done in the past, and just pace better, execute a better day overall, see where that puts me, and kind of start from there with my focus on the full distance, not the whole year, but my main goal this year is to really improve at the full distance. So doing Ironman Texas is going to be a big part of that. I'll be doing some 70.3s on the North American kind of circuit, Chattanooga, probably Happy Valley and Mont Tremblant, maybe one or the other. And then I might do Lake Placid full distance. After sort of that May-June timeframe, things are a little bit up in the air still. So really focused on those first couple of races, Oceanside and Texas. And I want to avoid some mistakes I made in a lot of years of sort of over racing. It's a fine line. Sometimes I think 10 races in a year, I can perform pretty well at most of them. And it's maybe not too many, but this year I'd really like to kind of dial in like maybe 8 races and do a better job at those races. So I might have to scratch one from the calendar here or there to allow for like a longer training block to really build the fitness and show up on the start line more confident and with a higher ceiling for what I'm capable of. This is going to be hard because I love racing. I pretty much, if I could just race every 3 weeks all summer, I would. But I might have to kind of remove one of those 70.3s somewhere just to allow that longer training block. But no matter what, the main thing I want this year is to stay healthy. I've got these illnesses behind me. I'm not doing any moving or any more vacations or things that are adding stress and taking time away from my recovery and my training. So I really want this year to be back to what I've typically done, which has been really consistent across the season. And I think that's just due to not a lot of missed training weeks or missed recovery opportunities. So that's my goals for this year. I really do want to qualify for Kona and have that be like my A race. I'm not going to be doing 70.3 Worlds this year. It's in Nice, France, which is where it was when I had my crash and broke my scapula and collarbone and had like definitely the worst injury in my career. And just the course just doesn't suit me. It's just far too technical, and a lot of the Europeans especially are so skilled and willing to take a lot more risks than me as well, and I'm just not going to be able to keep up on that course. So it allows me to focus on some other things, hopefully have a big focus for Kona, assuming I qualify, and just take a really good crack there and try to improve upon my not so great debut at Kona from 2024. But that's my plans for the season. Hoping to put some YouTube content out more than once every 6 months. But if you like this update, like and subscribe. They actually got an email telling me I'm going to be demonetized if I don't get some more views. So I got to put videos out a little more than once every 6 months. But thanks for watching this long, and we'll see you in the next one.